Hi, everybody. In this session, we'll actually be creating the data models that will support our application. Okay, so things we need. Obviously, we need an account table, which is already created for you, and that is a system default table. Other things we need courses, we need categories, and because we have my courses, that means that we'll have like a one many-to-many relationship between accounts to courses. A person can have multiple accounts. A person can have multiple courses, and each course can be taken by multiple people. And in this case, we'll also take a look at what a course contains. So let's go into here. We'll see that, okay, we have some kind of title. We have three learners. I put a one there for no particular reason, and has a price, has a cover image, and some information about the author, something about the author, and details of that course. But in fact, there's more than that because as you let's show that. Okay, you can see there's actually more than that. There's also a video. This one does not have a video. Let's go to this. Yeah, it has a video, and it also has a transcript that you can ask questions on using AI. So, for example, I might have shown you this before, how to add an image. And this information is what AI used to answer the question how to add an image. And that's from the transcript. So let's do that. Okay, so we have a course table. And the course table, as we said, it had a title, which is going to be a text. There are a lot of types in here. Types determine what kind of operations can be done on it. So, give an example. Subtraction works on numbers, but subtraction does not work on text. You cannot subtract a text from another text. You may be able to do like substitution on text. In fact, you can do substitution on text, but you usually don't do substitution on numbers. And you can do truncation or substrings on a text field, but you don't do that with a number. And we have other things such as zoned date time. So a date time is just timestamp basically. Timestamp plus timestamp doesn't make any sense, right? I can't add 3 o'clock to today 3 o'clock, tomorrow's 4 o'clock. You can't add them, but you can subtract them. Once you subtract them, what you get out of that is intuitively duration, right? 3 o'clock today minus 3 o'clock yesterday should give me a day in duration. And also, we in Momen, you also have things like geographic points. Those are coordinates for the Earth, and longitudes and latitudes. Well, you can't really add them together, but you can find the distance between 2 points. And also, given 2 points, maybe like you can send them to Google and figure out how long it takes to drive between those 2 points. So that is the meaning behind all these types. In this case, title is just simply just a text field. And we have other things here like unique and required. Required means that every single field, every single course should have a title. and unique means that no two courses can have the same title. So that's pretty normal. So let's do that. And there is a problem with Momen at the moment that you can't turn them both on the same time. The reason is that we don't yet have a way for you to back out of those changes once it's updated to the backend. So for now, we'll just keep it unique. Other things that we remember was cover image. Let's do that. And that's an image type. And we're going to have a uh, details. That'll be a text field. And we have transcript. It's also going to be a text field. And what else do we have? We have an author, which is going to be a relationship actually, because multiple courses can have the same author, and the author's name and its author's background can be updated, and you don't want to update every single course when you do update the author's information. So we won't be using a column for that. Anytime you have one-to-many relationships, you will be adding a relationship instead of a column. What else do we have? Video. Yes, we have a video that accompanies the course. In this case, let's just call it video and type its video. Very simple. Okay, so there are other things that I haven't fully explained yet. For example, permissions. Well, we'll deal with permissions later. By default, the permissions are all open, so everybody can see it, regardless of who you are, whether you're logged in. This is bad practice, but for didactic purposes, we can just keep it on. And also, before you make your website live and serve it to the public, to your clients, make sure that you configure all the permissions correctly. We will deal with permissions later in this course as well. Vector storage is something that we use for similarity lookups. So it's an AI feature. We will be using that later, but we won't be touching on that just right now. Okay, so we now have course. We need to link things up between course and account. That's a many-to-many, as I said before. We need to link things up between course and category. We haven't created category yet. We also need to link up course and author. So let's first create category. And you notice that I always use noun singular form for tables. That's just a convention. You can use plural, but you know, in my world, my convention is that's always singular, and everything you use as name in data models should be nouns. And if you're using other things like a adjective or a verb, you are probably doing something wrong. Data modeling is a huge topic, which we don't have time to get into in further detail than what we just did before. So I might create a full course on how to do data modeling. And author, I think those are the tables that we need. Okay, so let's create the relevant columns for category as well. In this case, just name. There's nothing fancy about it, and maybe names should be unique too. And one thing I haven't explained is default columns. Every time you create a table, and the moment you always given an ID, and at this moment you have created that and updated that. These, by its name, you can imagine what it does. So created ad contains the timestamp at which point this thing is created, and then updated ad is when it was last updated. And upon initial creation, those two values will be the same. For author, you have a name, it's a text. You can see texts are all everywhere, right? But always pick the correct type. It's very important. It determines what kind of operations you can use on them. And let's call it description or something. The description of the author, that's just another text. All right. So that's good. Now let's set up the relationships. So an account, well, let's skip the count first. Let's do the simple ones first. A category can have multiple courses, right? A course always belongs to a particular category. One to many relationship. And you will see lines appearing very soon. So this is how you add a relation. The target, you are going from category to course, and it's one to many. How do we read this? Category has one to many relationship to course. So a category can have many courses. Relation name in the target table. Okay, what does that mean? So the target table is course, and what name do we give to the relation in the course table for the corresponding category? Well, let's just call it category. So when you're referring to it, it'd be the course's category is something. Okay? And the inverse is, how are we going to address the courses that a category has? So let's just call them courses. And the way we read it would be the categories courses are that set of courses. So that is how we create this thing. And also, we are going to have another relationship between authors and courses. It could have been a many-to-many relationship, but we'll keep it simple. Let's make the assumption that a single course can only have a single author. And let's do the same thing. An author has many courses. It has written many courses. So that's a one-to-many. And in the target table, so in course, that author is known just the author. And in the current table, the author is, we just call it courses. So you probably get a hang of it. And now you can see that a course has many-to-one relationship to category. So the reverse is that the category has one-to-many relationship with course. Same as author. Okay, so that's good enough. Now, the most involved kind of relationship is many-to-many. As I said, a many-to-many relationship is when you can have arbitrary numbers of entity A having an arbitrary number of entity B, and vice versa. And in this case, we need to keep track of who has what course. As in, if I was to sell these courses, people who have bought it will have access to that particular course, and that course can be bought by multiple accounts. So the way we record those is through another table. So we just call it account has course. Okay. Also, you might ask why I use underscore here. The reason is to do with legibility, the readability of APIs. When it also makes things more debuggable. And I always keep it lowercase with underscores. Right? Underscores for space and lowercase everywhere. And the common way of naming many-to-many relationships is just A has B. Okay, so this thing is created, but it currently has no relations yet. So the way we do it is by creating one-to-many relationships to from each of the tables that this references to. So an account will have one-to-many relationships to account has course, and a course will have one-to-many relationships with account has course as well. And it will become more obvious as we go on. So relationship, count as course, one to many. In the target table, which is the uh, the account has course table, we call it just owner. And in the current table, in account, we call it courses. Okay, so how do we interpret this? An account has many courses. Each account has course entity has an owner. Let that sink in. Okay, that's created, and then we'll do similar stuff with course. Count as course, one to many. It becomes second nature once you do enough of this. Relationship in the target table, which is this, we call it just the course. And in the current table, we call it owners. It's all very symmetrical. Okay, so how does it look like? Each account has many records of what course it has. Oh, by the way, that's something I haven't explained. You notice once that I created a relationship, one-to-many relationship from author to course, we automatically get a field which we haven't created ourselves, author underscore author. The second one is just the type of the entity. The first one is what we created. So very frequently it will just become like the two repeated words. Okay, and in this case, we have one automatically created field for author and one automatically created field for the category. Okay, and the content of this will be the IDs of the corresponding row in that table. How do we know which courses were written by the same author? Well, we use this ID to look up all the rows of course that has the ID in this field. It's very similar to what we did with the VLOOKUP thing in numbers. And in this case, the account has course will have the owner account and the course field. So if you want to look up who owns a particular course, you use the ID, pass it in, look up all the rows that matches this particular course ID in this field, and that the ID that's contained in this field will then point to all the accounts, and that will be the relationship. Okay, so that is done. And last thing we need to do is to make sure there's no repeating pairs of owner account and owner course, and that is done through the constraint editor. And let's add that constraint. So let's call it unique account. Let's just call it unique account has course. Good enough. Columns are those two. That means no account has course row. No two account has course rows can have the same value owner account and owner course. We will see how that affects our ability to add things. Okay, so that's done. We've created all the things we need for the backend, and different to what we do with the front end, you have to update the backend specifically for that to take effect. So we'll click on it. It will take about 10 seconds, if not less. Okay, so that's done now. And if we now go to database, you should see all the information, all the tables here with the corresponding fields. And one thing that I think I need to explain is that almost always use rows, entities interchangeably. A row and an entity is the same thing. A type, a table is often the same thing. And a column and a field is the same thing. Okay, just so that we know what we're talking about. And then we need to do something about importing and exporting data. So let's try that out. We need to create some fake data, and we'll do that in the next session.